here, getting a chance to catch up. Now, I'll tell you straight off the bat, normally when I come, I just talk about what a resume should look like, how your LinkedIn profile should appear, right? The things that you can do about that, how to purge your social media so that you don't get busted for saying something when you were, 1 a.m. and you were feeling kind of frisky, that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to do that today. We're going to talk a little. We're going to kind of go another layer just below that. But there is an opportunity for you to review all of that information. The Tech Academy has it, and you can go. You just got to take the cap off the front. So if you go to YouTube and type in Josh Matthews with 2 T's, Tech Academy, there's a couple videos. I probably picked the one that's got more hits, and that'll cover your resume, your LinkedIn, all that stuff. It might be 3, 4, 5 years old. It's still completely relevant. None of it's out of date, and that's a really great place to start if that's what your focus is. So now, how to get a job? I want to kind of read the room a little bit here right now. So how many people here are actively seeking new employment? By a show of hands. Okay, and it looks about 60%, 70%. And how many people have been looking for new employment for more than 1 month? It's almost everybody. And how many people have been looking for 3 months or longer? A couple. Okay, all right. So is it fun? No, I'm getting resounding no's. Is anybody enjoying it? What? You guys are going to have to speak up because this microphone is real little. Is anybody having fun looking for a job?
I like meeting people.
You like meeting people? Okay, that's good. Look, looking for a job can be fun. It can be a real pain in the neck. It can be really frustrating. And when I was talking to the team here at the Tech Academy, one of the things I'm always curious about is, well, what are the students facing? Right? What are the biggest challenges? And what I have heard is that it can be frustrating. Like maybe you're not hearing back from your the positions that you post to. You think that maybe offers are coming in low, or it's taking more time than you want it to take. So we're going to go ahead and address it just real quick so you guys kind of know where I'm coming from. I've been involved in recruiting and headhunting for about 21 years now. I've hit it from all levels. I currently have my own practice, and I specialize nationally in placing people who are Salesforce professionals. Before that, I was a vice president at a Fortune 500 company for a number of years, known for training recruiters, training salespeople, building teams up, award-winning teams. And I've done it here in Portland, and I've also done it overseas in Australia. We're in the largest scientific staffing firm over there, and hockey stick the production up. So I've been doing this for a while. I've probably interviewed over 7,000 people in my life, and hopefully there's going to be some good nuggets here. Now, I will tell you right off the bat, if you're not taking notes, you won't remember this stuff. You just won't. Memory degradation is a real thing, particularly at my age. It starts to really go. In fact, this morning, I couldn't remember my code that I've had for 2 years on my phone. It took me forever to remember. I had to plot it out and treat it like a Sudoku puzzle or something. All right, so how to get a job? You have to earn it. It's a real bummer to hear that. I mean, it really is, because when we're talking about equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome, it's a really different thing. Who here knows what I mean when I say that? 1, 2, okay. So just so you know, equality of opportunity, that's when everyone, whether you're from any race, sexual orientation, age, gender, that you have a fair shot at getting employment for a role with the skill sets that you have. But equality of outcome, that's different, right? Because everybody can enter into the technology market, or in my case, in the recruiting field, or headhunting, or what have you, and not everybody's going to perform the same. Agreed? Right? I mean, people are going to have different gifts, different capabilities. They're also going to have different amounts of effort, right? And different amounts of preparation. And when we look at it, and I don't even really remember what's on here, but we'll go through some of this stuff. So when we look at it, the effort is really, really important. Now, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this slide here in just a second. But who here feels in their job search? For those of you who did raise your hand, how many of you feel like you're all in? Like you're really going for it. You're doing everything that you can. By a show of hands. I got a quasi. That's a no. By the way, you got one. Okay, that's almost all right. So not a lot. So that's great, because starting with self-awareness is really important. If we don't know ourselves, if we don't know how much our efforts are, what our energy levels are, it's really hard to determine where we should be, we don't want to lie to ourselves, basically, is what I'm saying. Now, when we put forth effort, it doesn't always feel good. Who would agree with that? 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, guys, it can be painful. So I'm just going to tell a quick story. This is my son, Ollie. He's my youngest boy, and he runs in the championship for middle schoolers. He's in 8th grade, and on Sunday night he was throwing up. He got food poisoning, wasn't feeling good at all. And he had a 12-minute time for his 3K race, which is cross country at that age. And he was really nervous, right? Shows up the day of the race. That was Monday afternoon. And he's like, well, I'm going to try, but I'm not really feeling well. So I told him a little thing that I learned a while back from a Navy SEAL. And this guy said, we have, when we think we've hit our threshold of pain, when we think that we've hit our limit, we usually have about 60% more that we can give. Who here thinks that that's real, right? 1, 2, 3, most of you guys. So, I've had that experience back when I was doing Kung Fu, and we had to do all sorts of crazy stuff for a really long period of time, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to do 200 knuckle push-ups in a row. Like, I maybe could do 30 or 40 at the time, And lo and behold, when you get past the pain, you can get there. So I had a little talk with Ollie, and I said, it's 12 minutes of pain. And this is true in a lot of sports. It's true in a lot of, like running, martial arts, but it's true in job hunting. It's true in your career, that the amount of pain that you're willing to endure, and for the duration, the duration of pain that you're willing to endure will equal different results in success. And the more pain you're willing to go through, the more likely you're going to win, whether it's win the race, win the job offer. Does that make sense? Okay, so this kid, Ollie, 12 minutes. I said 12 minutes. Just handle the most pain you can possibly endure for 12 minutes. None of it's going to send you to the hospital. At worst, you're going to vomit and probably feel a little bit better, right? Anyway, the kid beat his time by 20 seconds, which is massive in running. For those of you who don't know what a 3K 8th grade run is, it's a lot. It's a lot. And he did it just because he was willing to feel the pain. He was willing to feel the hurt. And I've heard about this with marathon runners, too. Marathon runners can run fast. You guys have all heard about the guy who just broke the record, right? Beat the 2-hour time, which is absolutely incredible. I actually know the guy who invented the shoes that he wore. It's a neat story, really neat story. But it's the amount of pain he's willing to endure. And he doesn't just show up for the race, right? He's going on training runs. He's moving all over the place. He's training at altitude. He's got a team around him, right, to get through that. And this is where preparation really matters, because you've got to prepare, right? And when I think about preparation, most people don't. Most people don't prepare. In fact, I'm gonna skip forward. I'm gonna skip forward a bunch of slides because I want to cover this real quick. Who knows who drew/painted this? Any guesses? One?
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo. That's correct. And does anyone know what this, where this is? One of his famous pieces? Sistine Chapel, that's right. Now, I'm not going to talk for a long time about art and Michelangelo, but what I can tell you is that last night, and I like telling stories about my family because it's real for me and hopefully you'll relate, but my wife does art. I was an art major. She's a scientist. She did art, and she completed this sketch of something and didn't want to iterate, didn't want to redo it, right? Was happy where it was, even though maybe the nose needed to be a little different or the forehead needed to be a little bit different, but people who really, complete master works. And by the way, if your career isn't a master work, at least in progress, then there's almost no hope, right? You've got to really go for the gold. You've got to try and get this thing that you're going to be spending more time with these folks and your family, right? It's your income, it's your work, you want to leave your mark on the world. Look, we can do it when we volunteer, we can do it with our friends and family, but the real opportunity to deliver, I mean, gosh, guys, that's in your job, that's in your career. And I'm always shocked at amateurs who have a lot of talent, who can draw, who can paint, who can sculpt, who don't take enough time to redo it and redo it and redo it. Practice getting that hand right. Practice getting that nose right. Practice getting that forehead right. Not being satisfied before you stick it in oil on the ceiling for the next 500 years or 1,000 years, God willing, right? So for you, I'm talking about your LinkedIn profile. I'm talking about your resume. I'm talking about how you interview, right? Your career decisions, choices of careers, right? How you follow up with people, all of that stuff. If you're not working in the career of your dreams right now, that's okay. It's a good thing because you've got a place to start and you've got a place to go up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just kind of jump back. Whoa. Okay. So I don't know why I have this up. I just like this picture. I just thought it was cool. Has everyone seen this before? Does everybody know that story of like you don't have to outrun the bear? You just have to outrun the guy next to you?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this bear, I work with a lot of clients, and the thing that I try and do that differentiates me in the marketplace is I offer a 1-year guarantee on my placements. And why in the world would I do that? Because that's 4 times longer than any other recruiting firm out there, particularly in my space. All right, so why would I want to do that? Well, this guy's easy pickings. This skinny dude, the bear can get him, but he'd probably rather have this guy, a little more meat on the bones, right? So when you're going after something, there's going to be easy opportunities, and then there's going to be opportunities that are really going to be fulfilling and last. And we want you to go. We want you to go for those things. So let's go ahead and talk about the basics. Again, this is just a quick reminder that if you want detailed information about resumes, phone calls, interviews, your LinkedIn profile, just Google Josh Matthews at the Tech Academy. And I think there's one maybe like 5,000 hits, 9,000, I don't remember, but it's something like that. And watch that. You'll see I'm a little bit thinner, I'm a little bit younger. Okay. All right. One of the things I did, most of you know, I walked around and I shook your hands and I said hi. And that's for 2 things. One, because I actually like people. I like meeting people. I like to get to know them, and I like to see how they engage with me and just kind of get a feel for the room. Now, this is some really basic stuff, right? Handshakes, smiling, and yet people blow it all the time. Who here has a friend who has a dead fish handshake? Raise your hand if you got a friend with a dead fish handshake. Okay, about half of you. How many people do you know that when you meet them don't look you in the eye? A lot of people, right? What about people who sort of, are always looking down and slouching, right? I mean, this is real stuff. So I just want to bring to your attention that your posture, your vocal quality, right? Your handshake. Oh, see, I can change my voice now. I can really project. You still got to be yourself, but these little things, they matter so much more than you know. When you've got, I'll just show you my phone real quick, and sorry to everybody who's online right now can't see this, but right here, every single one of those emails, those are, well, all but maybe 3 or 4, those are all candidates who hit me up today who want a job, right? I mean, it's an amazing economy right now. Don't kid yourself. It's absolutely fantastic out there. There is no reason why any reasonable person isn't employed, okay? But there's still competition. There's still a lot of competition for the jobs that you want. You guys agree with that? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult. So I do want to just touch on a couple of things going back here. And sorry, I'm a little all over the place today, guys. But real quick, if you're not getting any emails or phone calls, there's a problem with your resume. Okay. If or your LinkedIn profile, that's the trigger to know what's wrong. No phone calls, no emails, no replies to your job application. You've got a resume problem, right? You may also have a problem with what you're actually applying to. I have senior level people, like people in the 300K range, applying for 100K jobs that they have 0 experience, and it's like they're not even reading the jobs, right? Just absolutely insane. Now, if you're getting the phone calls, if you're getting the emails like, hey, we're interested, and then you're getting the phone interview, and you're not getting the in-person interview, it's a problem with what? Sorry?
The phone interview.
The phone interview, right. So some tragedies happen on the phone interview because people don't project, right? They've got a really stupid voicemail message where someone calls, they're going to leave a voicemail. It's like, yes, John, just leave a message, right? We're going to mumble, right? I've got a buddy of mine named, I'm not going to say his name, but he's a well-known attorney in town. He runs a fairly large, it's not massive, but a decent-sized law firm. And he's so chill. He's just so mellow, right? And when I talk to him, it's like talking to someone, you know, from the South, where it's a much slower speed. Now I'm from the East Coast, so we talk fast, we talk louder, right? But it's like, hey, Josh, how's it going? I mean, it's like, dude, come on, like, where's your energy? And if you act like that, he can do it. He's got his own company. He does well. But you can't do that, right, when you're a job hunter. And it doesn't mean you've got to be like me. It doesn't mean you have to be a fast talker. But it does mean that you absolutely have to project, right? You've got to get into a plate room that's quiet. You can't have little 3-year-old pulling on your pant leg, talking, dogs barking, Price is Right in the background. You know what I mean? All right. Now, if you're getting the phone screen and you're getting invited to the in-person interview and you're not getting the job, what's going on there? The interview, yeah. And it could be a number of things. You might just not be a fit, or there might just be a better candidate, right? But all of this stuff is, as you can see at the top, this is how you appear. This is just you marketing yourself, your skill sets, right? And that's part of the problem. There's ways to solve that. There's often much deeper issues than that, right? Much deeper issues. Now I think about this story I heard from this guy, this coach I know, who does a great job, and he was talking about women who want to have like a beach body, right? And so they go and they start running like crazy, and they diet so that they can get skinny, and then they don't have a beach body, and they don't know why, right? Because they're not lifting weights. Just most people who have beach bodies, and I don't, but most people who have beach bodies do. See, sometimes we prescribe the wrong solution to the problem that we've got, and it actually can compound our issues. So if we start thinking it's the job market, we start blaming everything else. It's the job market, it's the recruiter, right? I spend hours on my resume. A thing goes off in our head, says it should be enough, right? And that's not even the problem. The problem is a little bit deeper than that. The problem is, for most people, that we don't finish what we start. So how many people here are really, really awesome at finishing what they start, whatever it is? 1, okay. 2,
Sometimes.
okay.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. I'm often a sometimes guy too, right? And there can be some real solutions to solving that. When we approach the job market, when we approach it with, and I'm just talking about this, I'm just going to be talking about not how to do it, but not the specifics or the technical specifics about how to have a great resume or how to have a badass LinkedIn profile or how to interview well. But the mindset that that you have to possess to be able to accomplish each of those things. All right. Now, when it comes to actually getting things done, I love this T. This is something I learned from Asian Efficiency, which is an organization dedicated to helping people become more efficient. And I'm a member, and I watch all these videos, and I take all these little classes because I'm just aside from a couple assistants, my business is mostly me, and I put in really long hours, and I want to still have family time. So most of us, if we have an issue, it's one of these. Okay, you either don't have time, you don't have energy, or you don't have attention. So I'd like everyone to just take a moment and consider, just reflect. Reflect. If you had an issue with one of these areas, what would it be? Raise your hand if it's time. You don't have enough time to get everything done that you want. Got one. 2. Okay. What about attention? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm an attention problem. Right? Okay. And what about energy? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you can have multiple challenges here. All right. So now that you have identified that, right, and for those listening at home or elsewhere, it's really important to identify this, because then we can begin to explore how to solve those specific challenges. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you have a time problem, you might have one of a couple issues. It might be that you take on more than you can do, right? Or you're inefficient, right? So for those who raise their hand for time, who thinks it's one of those two things? And which one would it be? Taking on too much?
Too many tasks to do.
Too many tasks to do. Okay. And so how do you so it's a triage problem, right? It's saying yes too much? Is it saying yes to other people's things, or is it your own personal goals that you're trying to accomplish?
It's my own.
Your own?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you are you a multitasker? Do you have a bunch of different projects and things going on
Usually, yeah.
at once? Okay.
Yeah.
Who else here does? Right? Whether it's education, your work, your family, you do? Okay, you do? Yeah, I do. I've got a list of about 11 major projects. All right. That can be also an attention challenge. One of the things that I've learned, and guys, I really hope that you remember this. If you remember anything today from how to accomplish more quickly, okay, it's to do one thing and do it until it's all the way done, and then you move on to the next thing. I'm going to go through here. Oops. I swear I had a, oh, maybe I don't. Thought I had something in here. Maybe not. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. All over the place. Okay. So the challenge here, and it's significant, is that most people are really good at starting stuff. I mean, you guys especially are really good at starting stuff. There's another 650,000 people in Portland that didn't show up here today. You know what I mean? But you're here. You're here because you work here and you have a job and you came. You came because you're interested in the school and in the program and all of the things that you're going to learn and what the possibility of a new career in technology and coding can bring. Or you're here because you're a student and you just want to learn more. You want to get better at either your career, or you want to improve your career or improve your search capabilities when it comes to a job. So each of you is really great at starting something. Okay? And most people will do a bunch of stuff when they start looking for a job, right? They add something to their resume, but they don't edit out the bottom stuff. They jump on LinkedIn and maybe they try and buff it up a little bit, but they don't connect with more people, right? So they have more visibility to other folks. Does that make sense, right? They apply to jobs, but they don't necessarily adjust their resume per job, or read the job, or write it down. And who was it? And where's the company? And where's it located? And when did they apply? And go on LinkedIn. Who's the manager? And did you connect with them on LinkedIn? And did you follow up with a phone call, a friendly voicemail, right? These sorts of things. So you got to have a game plan, and you got to focus on one thing at a time. So if, again, by a show of hands, who here thinks they've got an amazing LinkedIn profile? Who's got one?
I must, man. I get every day this week. I skipped lunch because I get so many phone calls.
Okay, that's fantastic. So what do you think's different about your LinkedIn profile that maybe others don't have?
I don't really know.
You're not really sure?
No.
Okay. Should we pull it up?
Sure.
Do we want to? You got time for that?
Personally, I don't think I spent a whole lot of time on it, or that it's really any good.
Okay.
But it must be good because I've been getting phone calls like you wouldn't believe.
And are they quality calls? Are they from people that you want to connect with in jobs that you want? Is it targeted to those people?
Most of them are junk.
Okay.
And a lot of them, so many of them are for the same job at Nike, or the same 2 jobs at Nike.
Okay.
Over and over again.
Okay. All right. So you've got some keywords and you've got some job titles that are going to be targeted by certain sets of recruiters, whether it's internal Nike or a number of the agencies that use them. And they do a thing which I absolutely fucking hate, which is they send out jobs to like 20 companies, and then everybody gets phone calls from like 10, 20 people from different agencies all for the same job. And it's called poisoning the well. It's a really shitty way to recruit. And I don't, sorry for swearing, not really, but it's not a good way to recruit. And I'm not a big fan, but still, they're Nike, so they get to do that. But the bummer is a lot of companies do that. All right, so if there was something from everyone else who didn't raise their hand and isn't getting hit up all the time that you would improve on your LinkedIn profile, what would that be?
My profile, I retired from a real job 11 years ago.
Okay.
Everything since then has been either volunteer
Okay, good for you.
or fun.
Okay.
So now I'm looking to do something, and you got to go pretty far down before you find a company.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about it. And I've got probably over 1,000 people that I know, but they're all in the industry that I retired from, not necessarily what I want to do.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a real thing. I just deleted 1,000 contacts 3 weeks ago because when I push content out to my people, right? If it hits these 1,000 people that might live in Australia, right, or might be involved in a different industry, then that little percentage sliver of that LinkedIn says, okay, we're going to send it to a percentage of your of your contacts, and it gets kind of wasted on people where it's not going to have any impact. So having a lean LinkedIn connections, if you've got a lot, is a really good idea. You get up to 20,000. I've got maybe 6,000, something like that. I'd love to get it up to 20, and I'm sure it'll get there someday. But let's just talk about the key things here with LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm just going to cover this stuff. You got to have a good. Yeah, you got a quick question?
I see you're recording this. Is that going to be available for us later?
It'll be on the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, good question. Okay, so do you guys want to just let's get out of this thing, this silly keynote. Let's just pull something up here real quick. Okay, here we are. Let's look at a LinkedIn profile. Am I blocking? I'm going to slide over here a little bit. Let's just go over LinkedIn for just a minute, okay? All right. This is just mine. All right, a couple things. This is going to be quick, guys. A couple things. One, you got to have a picture. You should sort of smile, at least sort of smile on your photo. Color is better than black and white, okay? Semi-professional is fine. Professional is good. Just a t-shirt, I probably wouldn't do that, right? Trying to get into a cool company. There's nothing wrong with t-shirts, and particularly in tech. I mean, when I talk to my clients or just have a bunch of Zoom meetings with them, I mean, they're all wearing like metal t-shirts and stuff like that, which is fine, but not when you're going out to go get that job and you're trying to appeal to the most people as possible. Having a good header up here is not a bad idea. And by the way, if you include your name or you include if you've got a GitHub account or like whatever it is, anything else that you're proud of that you can stick on that header, this image right here, you can go ahead and do that, right? And then your about you. You don't have to read all my stuff, but you want to tell people how you solve a problem. And this is probably, I think more than anything, when it comes to resumes, when it comes to LinkedIn, when it comes to your interviews, people get asked a bunch of questions, what do you want to be in, where do you want to be in 3 years, or why should you work here, and all of these sort of standard interview questions. This is the core. People don't know. People don't know what they want to do. People don't have an idea or a vision of what their future looks like, what their success, what success means to them, right? So how many people here know what is absolutely amazing, just the most freaking awesome thing about you that most people that you don't know just don't have? What about you?
Yeah.
You're not sure? Okay. You know.
Well, one thing that we just really made sure that we understood is always having a plan for the future, always planning ahead, always making sure
Always
what
have
the
plans.
impact. Yeah, what is the impact that this decision is going to make on our lives, the different aspects of our life. Um, so, I mean, I know that there are some people who do this that I know, but by and large, I've noticed that people don't really think about that. They don't really think, how is this going to affect my life in this way, or going to
Sure.
affect my life in this way. And so normally, in my opinion, it's just incomplete planning.
It's incomplete planning. I'm going to just give you the mic, dude, because that's exactly the deal, right? And you got to know where you want to go, right? Everybody's heard the thing, well, if you want to get to the moon, you got to, like 2 degrees off from the moon, you can just wind up in outer space. It might take you 600 million light years till you hit some star that sucks you up. You know what I mean? So having a plan, so knowing what you want to do, and it's okay if you don't know what you want to do. I didn't know I knew what I wanted to do when I was little. I wanted to be a chef. And then I got a little bit older and I wanted to be a hot air balloon pilot, right? And then I got a little bit older and I wanted to be, just in sales and stuff. And then I wanted to be in recruiting, and I didn't land in recruiting until I was like 27 years old, right? And it fell in my lap. And for 3-4 years, I was like, I don't know if I like this shit. I wasn't really sure. And then I saw some dude at some talk during some training that I did. This is after 4 years in the industry, and I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to do what that guy does. And he was the guy standing up where I'm standing right now. You know what I mean? Talking about cool stuff. So it can take time, and that's okay. It's totally forgivable. There's nothing wrong with that. But we've got to know who we are. We've got to know what's great about us, because it's really hard to market it. And I think I put a little slide up about this. But basically, if you don't know yourself, you're probably not being yourself. You know, this diamond, this unpolished diamond that looks like a chunk of coal, right? And you go in for a job interview and you wonder why you didn't get the job, and then you slap this piece of coal on a piece of paper and call it a resume and wonder why you're not getting the calls, right? Because there isn't clarity of thought about what are the things that matter to you, right? So can everybody here think of like one thing that matters to you? Not a person necessarily. Right? What's a thing that matters to you? Who wants to raise their hand and answer that? Not you, because I know you know, buddy. No one here knows something that matters to them? Go ahead.
Water, like clean water.
Clean water matters to you. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good. What else?
Connecting with people.
Connecting with people, which is exactly what you do in your job, marketing and outreach, right? Yeah. What else? Anybody else?
Helping people.
Helping people. Fantastic. So how do you define your success? How do you know when you've been successful?
When someone's up here talking.
Okay. All right, good. All right, Matthias has it down.
When you get recognized.
Okay, so recognition, right? When you can see the work that you did actually was successful. What about everybody else? How do we know when we've been successful? I'll tell you what mine is. I know I've been successful when I help other people succeed. That's it. It's not more complex than that. It's an elevator pitch. It's an idea, but it's this thing. It's this driving force. Sometimes it actually costs me a lot of money because I just want to help people and I should be charging $200-300 an hour for it, and I don't, right? So, any great quality maximized too much can become a liability. So be aware of that. But if you're not really clear on the things that are important to you, you got to do it, and you got to do it today. You can't do it tomorrow because you'll fucking forget. You got to do it today. You got to go home, grab your pad, turn your phone off, put your phone down, clamshell your computer down, and sit down and ask yourself, what's really important to me? And then you very well might want to go to your friends, go to your family, go to your employers, and say, hey, what are 3 qualities I have that you really appreciate? Or what's something that I've done that you think is exceptional? Why would we do that? Why would we ask other people's input? I'll tell you right now why you should, because if you ever ran into me, I'm going to ask you, and if you don't know, you're not going to get the job. Do you see what I'm talking about? All this LinkedIn shit's really cool, but it doesn't matter if you don't know what to say, right? And you might try and go out there and polish a turd, but it's a turd, whether it's the resume or the interviewing or whatever it is. I have no idea how I am on time. We're good. Does that make sense? Right? This stuff really matters, guys. You know, all this LinkedIn stuff, I mean, I can sit here and teach you this. This is on YouTube. There's no excuse to not investigate this. There are professionals who do this stuff way better than I do. There are people who will teach you about efficiency. There are people who will teach you about LinkedIn. There's a lot of people who will teach you really stupid stuff about resumes. So I definitely recommend if you're going to listen to someone about resumes, listen to me and go to that YouTube video because it talks about it a little bit. Okay. The number one thing, I'll just pull something up here. Let me see if I've got an example. I'll just cover this real quick because I don't think there's a video on the other one. So we'll just kind of pop it open and okay. So let me just zoom in a little bit. Never mind all this stuff. This is the core here is to tell them what you do. What do you do? Tell them what you do. Little white space for readability, not 40 million bullet points. You see what I'm saying? And then I'm going to tell them how I'm going to solve some problems. What am I known for? You guys got to do this. Does that make sense? Does everybody see that? And then it's professional experience. Okay? And then at the way back, and you're allowed more than a page, guys. If you've had a career, you're allowed more of a page. And then you want to talk about your other achievements and all this other stuff. Okay? Your tech. You're not going to have my resume because you're not me and because you're, in a different career, so don't worry about that stuff. But I want to make sure that your goal isn't to learn more. Your goal isn't to, take on new challenges, because that's all BS stuff that everybody's seeing 100 times a day from resumes. You've got to have a really clear understanding of the value that you're going to bring to a company, and how are you going to express that value if you don't know your value, right? So should we figure this out? You want to talk about how we figure this out?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Here we go. And, okay. Let's see if we've got any other juicy nuggets on here. Okay. Talent is the multiplier. The more energy and attention you invest in it, the greater the yield. I like this quote for a lot of reasons, right? Each of us are coming with our own sets of gifts, our own background, our own thoughts, or maybe not. We might just have a bunch of other thoughts. We might have what our parents told us. We might have what CNN taught us. We might have, what our teachers told us. We might have what all of our friends are doing, and that's us. I saw this really cool thing the other day. This speaker that I happen to really appreciate and value quite a bit, and he asked this. He was getting interviewed, and he asked this gal asked him a question, and he just said, he's like, it's so uninteresting. I can ask you one question, and I know everything about your ideology. Because you're prescribing to an ideology, and an ideology has a set of things. You agree with this, agree with this, agree with this, agree with this, and you hate this, this, and this, and this, right? Whether you're, and I'm talking, it's a political conversation. But it's just like, oh yeah, I'm that, and now I'm in this group, and in that framework, you're just prescribing to all of the things in that framework. It's hard to think for yourself, hard to be yourself when you're just part of that crowd. And there's nothing wrong with it. Hey, I'm a Pats fan. I grew up in Massachusetts. I'm a huge Patriots fan. Hoorah, right? But if Brady goes to LA, I'll probably watch LA, right? Because I'm a Brady fan too. You know what I mean? So it's okay to step out. But let's figure this stuff out. This is really cool stuff. All right. I want everyone to think of any time in their entire life, professional or personal, where they did something. You went out of your way, and it helped someone else. Okay? Can you all think about that? Close your eyes if you want to. Can you think about that? Does everyone have a thought in mind? Do me a favor. Just raise your hand when you're done with your thinking time. Good. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, I would just strongly recommend start thinking about how to serve other people in general. right? Because this whole thing, this whole resume, this whole interview is about what do you do for others? How do you solve a problem that other people can't solve? How did you save the company time? How did you save the company money? How did you increase the company's money? How did you improve their reputation? Right? Tyus, how have you improved your company's reputation?
By putting my best effort forward and creating quality posts on social.
Creating quality posts on social. And what's the result of that?
More reach, the bigger reach.
Bigger reach. So
Yeah.
the audience, you're reaching a bigger audience, and what does that do?
Brings in more people to the school, gets
Yeah.
them interested in what we're doing.
So there's a result.
Yeah.
Okay. I should have probably put this slide up. It's on that other thing, and half you guys probably will never watch it. So I'll just talk about it real quick. And you can use this in your interviews. You can use this in your on your LinkedIn, and you can use this on your resume. And it's real simple. It's real simple. It's quantify. Write this down. Q squared equals R. Okay. Qualify times quantify equals a result. Let's see that in action. Where did that word thing go? Okay. Launch, blah, blah, blah. These divisions resulting in blah, blah, blah money. Okay? So we want to tell them something. I'll just tell you an easy one. I pick apples, right? So you're an apple picker. I pick apples. All right, you put that on your resume. It's really just a job description bullet point, isn't it? Apple picker. What do you do? Picks apples. Okay. Now let's quantify it. Right. Picks 5 bushels a day. Right. I'm an apple picker. I pick apples. I pick 5 bushels of apples a day. Okay. Now let's qualify it. Qualifying, by the way, is just giving it context. Does everyone know what I mean by that? Putting it in a framework. It's like framing up a picture, sticking it on a wall, right? So if we're going to qualify that, I'm an apple picker. I pick 5 bushels of apples a day, which is 2 bushels more than the average apple picker, resulting in employee of the month, right? There's a result, right? So who here can think of something that's on their current resume that's not like that? We can walk through this exercise so that we kind of have a little bit more experience in how to do it for ourselves. Go on. Who's got a bullet point that they know is on their resume? Go ahead, bud.
When I work here, so before I got my current position, I was a remote job director, and I just wrote help students with their resumes
Okay.
and nothing else.
All right. Help students with their resumes. And so how many students did you help with their resumes?
Good fortune. Mainly it was just ensuring that the format is correct and that there's no missing information regarding it.
How many? Numbers.
When I was in that position, around 20, 30.
20 or 30 resumes? Okay. And is that like in a day or a week or during your time there?
During my time in that position.
Okay. And then were those resumes better because you paid attention to them? And how many of those people are you aware of got new jobs? All. Okay. Do we have a result now? Yeah. I mean, it's them. They had to go through the whole process, but you helped them?
Yeah.
Great. So help to edit and format resumes, over 30 resumes that helped contribute to 100% job placement for the 30 students that I worked with. Right? It's a little more powerful. See how we do that? Does anybody want to do this again? Anybody else have a little bullet point that's on their resumes that they can think of how to do this? I'll tell you this, if you're not sure what bullet points are on your resume, that's, we need to kind of scale this back and really just get going on our resumes. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. But we're going to do that, guys. We're going to do that in our interviews. I mean, we need to be able to express our value. Go ahead.
So every one of my resume bullet points are like that, but they're all irrelevant to the job I want.
Right.
So where's that transition?
Well, what do you want to do now?
I want to program.
Okay. Do you know how to program?
Yeah,
Okay. And what do you program in?
C#,
And when was the last time you? How long have you been doing that for?
C#.
Yeah.
Since the first release.
Oh. Okay. So long. Okay. So long.
But never paid, never
Yeah.
professional.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
I contribute to .NET. I contribute to the C# compiler itself.
Okay.
Again, but not paid. It's all not paid.
Yeah, but you can put that stuff down.
But how does someone? What's the measurement? What's the connection, right, between what a job when somebody wants to hire and
Yeah.
that spring? To me, it seems like a big gap. I couldn't figure out how to translate that to what I see in a job posting.
Yeah. Well, what you do is you know your target's different. Maybe it's not the moon, right? Maybe it's North Portland. You see what I'm saying? Like you can adjust because you got to think about who you're competing against. So if someone has 15 plus years of coding C#, but it's part time and for fun, and you've contributed to these other things, maybe you're not going to command a 120K salary for that, right? So have you given thought to what you're willing to accept for your first paid job? Are you happy to share that number with us? Okay.
Anything more than $15 an hour.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care.
Yeah.
I
Well,
want a program.
Yeah. So if you look, I love that, and that's a really cool story, by the way, too. Right? First of all, it's volunteer. Two, clearly you're passionate about it because you did it for free, right? Which is a really big thing. And if you guys aren't eating, sleeping, breathing, all this stuff all day long, that's okay. Not everybody's like that. And people who have more interest in just tech or just coding bring a lot of value and a lot of contribution in other ways in that experience, whether it's how they relate to people, right, or whatever else. But for you, closing that gap, you've got an idea of what a target is, right? And so you apply for these junior positions. You need to kind of just scrape most of your history away, right?
So actually what seems to be happening, I keep getting offers for these ridiculously senior positions, and there's no way that
Offers or invitations?
invitations.
Okay.
Invitations to these interview for these very senior positions.
Yeah.
None of which I'm qualified for.
Yeah.
And none of which I can show any history whatsoever.
Sure.
So do you think they're just totally missing the boat, or they're looking at your life experience, your people skill set?
Don't know if you can get that far.
Often it's through AI, right? Or people,
Yeah.
we all use these applicant tracking systems. Keywords, you can see it here, here, here. That's enough. Boom, mass mail. You're getting an invitation to talk about it. That's a way to recruit, and certainly it can be useful, when you're trying to find people in a heavily employed market because there's scarcity of individuals who aren't
We're
working.
meeting a million almost every day, dozens and dozens of things for sales. I was top sales intel for 10 years.
Okay.
I want to do that.
Yeah, well then you got to make it really obvious. We looked at the header that I had on my LinkedIn, right? .NET developer for hire, cheap. You could say whatever. The idea here is to sort of divide the herd,
Yeah.
if you've heard that expression, right? You're not trying to appeal to absolutely everyone. You're trying to appeal to the people who are going to accept you and where you're going to be a massive success, right? Because if you've done C#, you've seen all of the growth of .NET and how it's changed. And I started, I was placing .NET people back in the early 2000s too, and it's changed dramatically, right? I've been a sponsor of Portland Area .NET User Group for many, many years and friends with the founders there. So I get it, right? Are you going to the .NET User Group meetings? Okay, so Rich and all those guys?
Last month I just started.
Okay, yeah, so keep going, talk to all the recruiters there and just tell them what the deal is. This is what I can do. You got GitHub, you can prove your code, you know exactly what you've done.
But the first few times I went, it wasn't for a job. I didn't want, then I just, since the situation changed, I want to do something now.
Yeah.
So, gotta
Yeah.
go back.
So look, you just need to, everybody here needs to scrub their stuff and just focus on your niche market, right? If you're not watching Seth Godin or listening to him, he's a good egg, right? To talk about just you don't want to be everything to everybody. A lot of people mess that up, right? You want to be really clear and specific. You know what you want. A lot of people here, it doesn't sound like we're there yet, right? So understanding what you want, what's interesting to you is really important. So we're going to ask people what they think about us. We're going to ask people what they think we're good at. It's weird. You can go to your friend, hey, man, what do you think I'm good at? I'm doing this thing. You know, it can be embarrassing for people, so that's the number one reason why people won't do it, right? Why won't you ask? Pain. Pain. It hurts. You have to earn it. Nothing changed. Like, I was going to put up a picture of Einstein. I didn't. Nothing changes if you don't change. Like, so you got to do stuff that's different. You know, when I launched this business, I'd been in recruiting for 20 years. When I launched the Salesforce Recruiter, you know, I knew Salesforce. I used it. I implemented it. Right, but I started having these conversations with people. And man, did I have to wing it? I mean, I had to wing it for a while until I kind of got a grip on that whole industry. Right? You guys got to wing it a little bit. You know what I mean? And it's painful. It's embarrassing. You're putting yourself out there for embarrassment, to be made to feel, you know, ashamed. And usually it's not, that shame doesn't come from other people, it comes from you. Right? It comes from your own head. Right? So you got to be willing to get through that pain. So what's like some of the most painful things in the world are standing up here talking to people. Everybody knows that, right? You know, or going to strangers or going to people that you know and asking them to talk about you, right? Because you might not like what you hear. My wife tells me stuff I don't like to hear. She's right sometimes, not all the time. She's right sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it sucks. That self-evaluation freaking sucks. I even think I had a little. I think I had something up here and I got rid of it, but it was like, you know, you can't know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you're being someone else. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And so how do you know yourself? Rule number 1. Stop lying to yourself. I lie to myself. We all do. We have to, we think, because it somehow supports our ego. It supports our confidence. It keeps us safe. Does anybody disagree with that? Raise your hand if you disagree. You disagree?
Well, I feel like you're using the word like pain a lot to speak.
Yeah.
And like how much of this process is actually pain and how much of it is like you talking about like consciously planning and developing yourself.
Yeah.
Which can probably reduce any pain that would take yourself.
I think that actually depends on what the definition of pain you're using is. Are you talking about pain as physical pain or pain as in effort that doesn't necessarily get results?
Okay. So these are really great and deep questions. And to your point, you're absolutely right. If people plan, right, if they know themselves, they have a plan, they have goals, and I think there's a little slide about this somewhere, right? Goals, time block, task management, right? I use OmniFocus. I have a calendar and it's color blocked and it's like every minute of the day is pretty much filled up with that stuff. I iterate my calendar in the week. On Sunday night, I have 2 hours on my calendar Sunday night where I go through my checklist, and it's probably out of date. But you know, if you guys want to see what this stuff looks like in action, there's my past dues that I've got to go through, and I can jump into my projects here, right? And these are all like the main projects that I'm working on. And then you can jump into like, okay, here's my training and implementation. All my tasks for training and implementation have been completed for this week. This is my queue, right? Productivity queue, okay? Content for this week. This is my queue of content, right? It's all captured. Does that make sense? It's all captured. So, you know, yeah, you got a plan. You've got to have a system for capturing this information. And it can be a notepad, and it can be, I mean, again, guys, Asian efficiency, you can go to look up the productivity show. You can do this planning, but man, Most people don't plan. And they don't plan because it hurts. It's painful. When you talk about physical pain, yeah, it's physical pain. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts to do something that you know is, it's a fear. Or I'm not good at that. Or it's self-doubt. You see what I mean? Like when you when you decide not to do something, the way your body works is actually dumping chemicals in that say run or fight or curl up into a ball, right? Don't plan. You don't know how to do that. You tried that once. It didn't work out. You only stuck with it for 2 weeks and you never went back. That's not for you. That's not who I am. Guess who just lied to themselves? That person just didn't want to push through the pain, developing new habits. And it physically hurts. It's a real feeling. Does that make sense? From like a physical pain thing? Because guys, there's and I know we're all over the place on this talk today, and I apologize for that, but there's so much information. Mostly what I'm trying to do here is just get you guys to understand that the challenge that people have in job search, they might think it's their resume, they might think it's their LinkedIn, they might think it's the job market. It's actually probably more than anything, you. And it doesn't make you a bad guy, and it doesn't mean you're wrong, it doesn't make you bad at all. You guys are beautiful people. All of history of the world, all the evolution that happened, and here you are. And here you are sitting here today to do something for yourself. Capitalize on that, right? Capitalize on that and keep doing things that might feel, and maybe it's not pain, maybe it's not comfortable.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just kind of like you were saying, it's kind of, you kind of have to define it more, I think.
Sure.
Pain is just like kind of
Well,
like,
I think some of the things that you're speaking about, someone else would think it was emotional pain.
Yeah, emotional pain. Yeah, emotional pain. But I think like that, look, the way our brains work, right? The drives that we have to do certain things, right? One person falls down or something doesn't work out, do they get back up and try harder? Do you try harder when you get knocked down? Or do you stay down and go do something totally different? Right?
but if you tried harder at that point, then it wouldn't be as painful.
No, it can be painful. I'll give you a stupid story. 2 days ago, I lost a $54,000 deal. And even though I'm successful, that's still a lot of money to me, right? Gone. And then the next day, $15,000 deal, like that. Worked months on these things. It happens. That's just my business. It's going to happen, right? Guess what I wanted to do? I wanted to eat a big thing of ice cream. I wanted to smoke a joint. Right? I wanted to sit down, watch like 3 hours of Formula One racing. I wanted to forget about it. I worked till 11 at night. Fuck this. Didn't cry about it. Got back up on the horse. And we all have to do that. But that's just a muscle. That's a response that you just have to you have to keep iterating and iterating. I'll just kind of get to the last slide here so that you guys can kind of see exactly what I mean. Okay, you iterate your code, you gotta iterate your resume. You practice your video games, you get all these new lives, right? Practice your interview answers, right? You know how to get started? Start knowing where you wanna go and how you'll know when you're finished. These are just like really simple, oh, sorry, I'm not on like the play part, whatever. But this is the core of it all. You guys all exercise, everybody knows how to do these things, particularly in tech. Right? You do your thing, and then you test it, and it doesn't work, you find out what the problem is, and you go back and fix it. Right? You don't blame anybody else, it's you, it's your code. Right? You jump back in, then you ask for help, and you do some pair coding, whatever it is. Right? I mean, a lot of people play video. If you don't play video games, it's okay. I think you still know what I'm talking about here. Right? But you jump in and you start shooting everybody and you die, and guess what? Particularly if it's like Fortnite or something, you're back in all night long, trying to get better, trying to, whatever it is. Whether it's Fortnite or campaign or like whatever it is, right? I'm a puzzle guy. I like word puzzles, I like number puzzles. If I don't get it, I just keep going. I want to get to that next level. I want to progress. I want it to get harder, right? And so you got to ask yourself, in all of these things that you're doing, the LinkedIn, the resumes, the interviews, what's the hard part? When you do a Sudoku puzzle, does everyone know what that is? Grid of 9 this way, 9 this way, and they've all got to match. There's just usually one or two or maybe three actual problems. The rest is just plugging the numbers in. What's the hard part? So ask yourself, what's the hard part for you? Is it picking yourself back up and redoing it? Is it taking time, blocking time, saying, for 2 hours today, all I'm going to do is work on my LinkedIn profile? Hey, for 2 hours today, all I'm going to do is watch motivational videos, and then I'm going to take action right away. And I'll tell you some cool shit. Tony Robbins is awesome. When I was 30, I decided, if you want to invest in yourself a little bit, anything like that, it's very good. Spend $200 at 3 a.m. in a career that I wasn't super happy in. I did the first 2 weeks of this 4-week project, and that year I accomplished everything I'd wanted to do. Quit smoking, ran a marathon, got married, bought a house, had a kid, tried surfing, started a band, tried snowboarding.
Wow. When
I was 30. It's 1 year. Because all I did is I decided, what do I want to do? This is the goals, this is the plan, okay? And then you take action. One small step, make a phone call. Write it down. Block the time. Open up Google, research it, watch a YouTube video. All right, whatever it is. And I can't go over all that stuff right now, but this job search stuff, it can feel monstrous. It can feel overwhelming. It's okay, guys. You guys are all like really valuable people, and I want you guys to have like careers that you love as much as I love mine. I don't always love it. There's always going to be bad days, right? But it's fulfilling. It makes me happy. And I've been there. I know what it's like. I waited tables. I was, I did door-to-door sales. I worked at the Stanley Steamer, carpet cleaner. Literally wanted to jump out of the van and kill myself. I hated it so much, I'm never going to do anything like this. I'm going to put myself in a position I never have to clean someone else's dog shit off their floor. You know what I mean? So you just got to, it's okay to have all those experiences. Those experiences make you, right? But you just got to decide, what are the things that, how will I know, know how you're going to finish? Well, how will you know when you finished? Well, I'll know that I quit smoking when I haven't smoked for 3 months, 2 months, right? I'll know that I made the right choice with my education when I've completed all of my education for that course, for that degree, right? I'll know that my job search has been successful when I land a job that I want, right? I know that my career will have been successful when I'm earning the income and having the level of influence that I want. You kind of got to start with the end in mind, right? And then you got to do something. Again, we're good at starting things, but sometimes we're not starting the right things. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions? I know we've been, again, all over the place today, guys. You guys have had some really good questions, some really great input from a few of you too. This job search stuff, it's just like all these layers. You start peeling it back. There's all this stuff that you've got to do. It's okay, one thing at a time. LinkedIn, just fix your LinkedIn. Watch a video, Google it, get it done. Your resume, go do it, get it done. Your interviews, okay, it's Saturday. What are you doing all afternoon? You're gonna watch football? You're gonna play video games? You're gonna go pick grapes? What are you gonna do? Well, maybe you can sit down and you can watch my other video that tells you how to practice for interviewing. You actually have to drill it, practice. What questions to practice, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you do it until the thing's done. And that's done. You don't have to think about it anymore. Just move on. Great, that part's done. That part's done. Next, that part's done. And when you schedule it, and you plan it, and you complete it, that muscle that you build, that momentum, I like to think of it like this giant freaking boulder. I don't know, 12 feet high. Seems good size. And when you push and push and push on that boulder, it just doesn't go anywhere. And so you lean into it again and again and again, and it just moves like an inch. You hear it crunch, and it rolls over. And then you get under there, and you start enduring that pain, physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain, whatever it is, it hurts. Those pain centers are real. right? Body hurts. And then something magical happens. It rolls over more. And then you get a full rotation and that boulder starts moving. And what happens when that boulder starts moving is good old Newton comes into play, and now you've got momentum. And the gravity's pulling the thing down, and you've got, you know, you've moved this massive, massive thing. Everyone's heard like the, how do you eat an elephant? Has everyone heard this? Some of you? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. But you gotta start chewing. You know? So chew today. And maybe just start with a leg. Just start getting bites from all over the elephant. That's what people do, and that's what, then they get discouraged. Well, I ate that whole foot, now I can eat the whole leg. Oh, I ate that whole leg, now I'm gonna, you know, whatever, eat the whole ear, whatever it is. It's a stupid, stupid analogy. But you guys know what I'm talking about here. You just start with the small things, get it done, you'll feel accomplished. Dave Ramsey talks about this. He calls it the snowball effect for, you know, getting out of debt. I don't know many people who don't have any debt. I know a few. I don't know a lot of people who don't. Right? You start with the smallest thing. No matter what the interest rate, you pay it all the way off. You take whatever you were paying on that small thing, you apply it to the next biggest thing. You pay that off. And all of a sudden, you've got all these funds to contribute to the larger problems. And it's the same idea here today. Right? Okay, so to wrap it up, your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your job interviewing, right? How you approach it, how to follow up, all that stuff. You can learn that. You can learn it on the internet. You can learn it from me. You can learn it from other people. But I would start there, okay? And then the deep work is, what's your value? You know, what do you do for others? How do you serve others? Does that make sense?
Yep.
And if you're not sure, it's okay. All you got to do is start being the yes man, right? Get out there. Just go work at a soup kitchen one day. Just try it. You know, just you know, whatever volunteer thing that you can do. Help an old lady across the street. Any of those things. You know what I mean? Just start thinking about how you can start applying that idea of really just how do I serve others. If you do that in your work, you will be valuable. You will be desired. You will be hired. It's pretty straightforward. But you got to be able to learn to talk about it, and you got to learn to talk about it by talking to other people. Hear what they say. Okay, who's got questions?
With the LinkedIn profile for like people who are going into coding who might have been in like I was a musician before I started coding.
Yeah.
Would you try and like push the music stuff to like the bottom of the LinkedIn page, kind of make the coding your coding?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's what you're going for, right? But I love it when I hear people who are musicians who become coders. There's a lot of people who do that because it's symbolic language, right? And there's a real correlation to that. But yeah, you know,
Music doesn't pay very well.
what's that?
Music doesn't pay very well.
No, it doesn't pay very well. Yeah,
There's a lot of coders that are musicians.
a lot. Yeah, no, a lot. A lot of coders are musicians. I'm a musician. I play drums, but I'm not a coder. Yeah. So yeah, you want to maximize the thing that they're looking for. They're not hunting for a musician who might code a little bit. They're hunting for a coder, right? So, but you can think about some of the, you know, what are some of the aspects of being a musician that are translatable, right?
Iteration.
Yeah, iteration. You have to practice, right?
Well, I was also thinking of making like two separate LinkedIn profiles.
Just do one.
You can always, after you get that job that you're looking for, you can always switch in your profile if you want to use LinkedIn to build your music contacts, right? You know,
Yeah. Pick the career you're going to do and go for it 100%. If you half-ass it, you'll struggle. You'll really struggle. You'll really struggle. I mean, these folks, and I see it with recruiters who, and coders who are like, oh, I can code anything. Yeah, PHP, .NET, you know, React, and a lot of that stuff can go together, but not all of it. Or they're like, oh yeah, I'm a DBA and I do front end. Really? Come on, do you really? Because the more and more you think of technology as this tree, right? And you got the trunk of tech, and then we start going out on these different boughs. And nowadays, what we're finding in the technology market is well, someone wants someone who's on this twig, way out here, meaning that they've got all of this special combination, and over here it's this special combination.
Well, you've got that, but you also be pushing out for full stack, which is there's twigs everywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So
and full stack could be its own bow, right, full of its own things, you know what I mean? But yeah, you want to be focused. You want to be focused on your social media and your social profiles, right? And talk to people, you know, Facebook, all that stuff. Like, I'm interested in coding. I'm looking for opportunities, that kind of stuff. Is anybody else having struggle with career transition? Yeah, where are you coming from?
I used to be a legal assistant.
Okay, all right. And now what?
Trying to get into coding.
Okay,
I'm almost done with my post-bac
okay.
in computer science.
Congratulations. That's great. And do you have some thoughts about how to, you know, some of the qualities and attributes of being a legal assistant that translate to being a good employee?
Yeah. One of them is being able to interpret unclear directions from your attorney and
Okay.
turn that into something actually useful.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Good. So converts ambiguity into clear workflows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrific. Good.
that
And-
applies everywhere, by the way.
Yeah. No, it absolutely does. But you actually have experience doing that, right? And you can
Yeah.
prove that. So that's really good. So make sure you say that, right?
Yeah.
Terrific. And are you finding it difficult to make that transition?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I'm definitely not putting all the effort I could be
Okay.
into the job search.
But
no good reasons. I've got school going on and I'm trying to practice like through Udemy in my own time. So I've got like a couple different things going on in the job search, and I have trouble paying attention to one thing at a time because I do something for like half a week and then I get bored of it and I jump to the other thing I'm studying.
Yeah.
Back and forth, so I have a really hard time completing things.
Okay. So for you, I would start listening to the productivity show. Okay. I would start thinking about utilizing the tool that I use called the New Year Calendar, NEU, where you basically plan out your year by quarters. It's a big board, right? And start thinking about doing everything not contiguously, but consecutively, right? So you know, you plot out your goals with whatever for the quarter, for 3 months. You don't have to think about the whole year now. You know, what are the things that you'll know you've had a successful quarter if you accomplish, and you write those things down, and then you triage it. Which ones are the most important to complete? Okay, and you circle those, and then I want you to star the ones that are the hardest to complete. And often it's the same, and often we have the most resistance to those things, right? Does everyone know the old Mark Twain quote about, you know, everyone should wake up and eat a frog?
That was a Brian Tracy thing.
Brian Tracy quoted Mark Twain. Yeah. So, and the idea is if you eat a frog in the morning, everything you do for the rest of the day will be way easier, right? So one trick that I did, and I think I got this off of like a Tim Ferriss book like 7 or 8 years ago, is before I go to bed, I use a different task management system now, but this is a really simple one. You write down the 6 things that you want to accomplish the next day. And you can divide it out. It could be 3 professional, 3 personal, whatever it is. But you'll know you've had a really great day if you accomplish these 6 things. And then you circle the thing that's the hardest to do. It might not even be the most important, but the hardest to do. And when you wake up, that's what you do. You do it first, just first, right? People talk about power hours. People talk about, you know, that 7 to 8 o'clock slot in the morning, getting up, doing this really difficult thing that you know you're going to procrastinate on. I'm terrible with that stuff. It takes a lot of discipline and habit development for me to approach things that way. Because I do that, I am able to accomplish a lot. It's not natural. It's painful. It hurts to not get pulled into that thing that's, oh, well, if I just check my email, I get a dopamine hit, right? Or, oh, if I just answer every call that comes in, instead of saying, no, like this is important work, this is important. And need to start operating on my schedule, on my time instead of someone else's time and someone else's schedule. You know what I mean? Yeah. But think about the New Year calendar. It's a really cool tool, and you can read about how to use it. You can look up agent efficiency and learn how to use it. That might be helpful too. And I'm sorry, you said that you're in a career transition also?
Yeah.
Okay.
My situation's a little more of I've been in the tech space for 20 years.
Okay.
That fine site engineering, tech support.
Okay.
Thinking about getting back more programming focused.
Yeah.
But just for example, let's say I was interested in getting into Salesforce. It'd be the same thing as, okay, if I want to be a C# programmer, you know, what would you recommend are the steps to get that point where you start getting people's attention for, okay, I'm interested in Salesforce, I don't necessarily have 5 years experience with their applications, but you know, I've worked with creating projects with clients, designing them, scoping them, coding them. You know, it really, I think of Salesforce as another tool that can solve similar problems. You know, is that the type of approach that would work, or would you have to get certified?
Yeah, so first step is I would go to my website, go to the salesforcerecruiter.com and go to articles or my blog, and I've got more than, I think, at least one good solid one, which is like, okay, you're interested, now what do you do, right? With links, blogs to follow, this sort of thing. There's something called Trailhead, and Trailhead is free online training for Salesforce where you can, where you can learn it. But if you don't have your Salesforce certification for admin, it's called the Admin 201, you're sort of not going to get anywhere, right? And even if you have it, my recommendations on there are find ways to volunteer, find organizations that want free help, join the Trailhead user groups and this sort of thing, and start getting involved. I placed a gal recently. She used to be a vice principal for one of the local schools just up the hill here, and she made a massive transition from being a principal or vice principal, and now she's making about the same or maybe a little bit less money, but she spent a ton of time. I mean, a solid year just doing certifications and doing badges, and she already had that business acumen, that ability to help people. She knew what she was all about. She could convey it. But whether it's C# or PHP, any of these things, I mean, the goal here is to be as involved and active with it as possible. Because again, I don't know if you remember seeing the little pink thing that says, this is what they say, right? This is how you appear. But that's built off of you. That's built off of your experience, right? So some people struggle with defining exactly what they've done. Some people struggle with having experience and going out and seeking it and finding it when they don't have any and they don't know where to go. Right? And that's where volunteering, connecting with startups, connecting with the startup community, connecting with local stores or little local businesses who might need help. And then, of course, there's all the Reddit and all these other ways of communicating with people in a variety of industries to find out how you can get more experience so that you can then appear differently. Hopefully that answered your question. Okay. I got time for one more question, guys. Do you have any? Yeah? Now hold on. I just want to be fair and see if anybody else does too. But
Sure.
I'll be over here and happy to answer questions. Anyone else? Okay, go for it.
Okay.
Thanks.
So when applying to jobs on a job board,
Yeah.
they always even for entry level or junior devs, they always have 3 years of experience in this, 5 years of experience in that. If you don't have that, should you still apply?
That's a really great question. I don't know a lot of people. Here's the thing. You'll usually see that particularly if it's coming from a recruiter. Okay. So number one, determine if it's posted by the company or if it's posted by a recruiter. If it's a recruiter, you're probably not going to have much of a shot right out the gates. And the reason is someone's paying them to find someone with that experience. That's the mandate they've been given, right? And if they don't deliver that, if they say, oh, here's someone with 6 months experience instead of the 3 that you want, they're not going to get paid, and most of them are on some sort of commission, right? Does that make sense? So if you're going to be targeting opportunities as a junior developer and new in the field, I would be targeting organizations that aren't utilizing someone like me or a recruiting service. Yeah, and then apply away. Say, hey, I get I don't have this, but I do have this, and I think you'll find that not only am I more affordable, but I have the drive to succeed. This is what I've accomplished in my past. I'm so excited to, to be able to deliver on everything that you need. Let's talk.
Could I jump in on that a little
Yeah.
bit and say, like, most of the software jobs that are posted, and I know this just from working here and being around it, they're gonna look for their ideal candidate, someone that they know has all of that experience, and everyone that applies for that job isn't gonna,
It's more like a wish list.
yeah, it's a wish list, exactly. So you
now
won't.
they're looking for 10 years, and, probably not apply for that one.
Yeah,
It's
right.
3, I mean, I would say if you're within the 3-year window, you're in the ballpark until some more experienced or parts their hair a better way.
Just kind of depends on what the scarcity in the market is, right? Like as an example, I've got a guy who's he's probably going to get an offer from a client of mine. He got literally 26 calls in one day from recruiters. Some changes happened in his company. He became available. He's a senior level solution architect, right? He's in that like 150 to 170K range. And within a week, he's got 4 offers. Like boom, right? Because it's really very scarce for that. So it depends on the skill set that you're in. Now, if it's not as scarce, right, then it's a numbers game. It's not just the quality of your resume, but how many times you've put yourself out there. You got to make sure it's high quality before you put yourself out there at all, or else, and I said this before, you'll poison the well, right? They're gonna be like, oh, I know that name already, and it was already a no. So it's you got to show up dressed right on your resume and everything before you start putting it out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for putting up with me today. I appreciate it.
You guys grab some pizza on the way out. Also, outreach surveys. If you have a minute, we'd love to hear your feedback.